NFT podcast. My name is Lena and I'm here with Mark Pel from 3 months. And yeah, welcome. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So Mark, tell us a bit about your technical background.
Yes, I'm originally a programmer from way back, and spent the last part of my career was managing big websites, and then 16 years ago I started up 3 months as a web software mobile development company.
Right on. That's really good. So, blockchains. What got you into this technology? And, more importantly, what is this technology exactly? Because it's so easy to imagine that it's this kind of shady deal associated with Bitcoins, and what is decentralized databases? What even is this?
Yeah, it's a fascinating topic and something we're hugely excited about. And essentially how we got into it, a large part of what 3 months does is R&D. We like to look at new emerging shiny technologies and throw a lot of time and start playing with it. And really the whole cryptocurrency is one area that we've been looking at for about 2 years. I went to a Bitcoin South conference in Queenstown about 2 years ago and really got excited about the stuff that was going on there. And but as you say, there's a lot of baggage around Bitcoin associated with drugs and hacking and all this sort of stuff. And it is a big, complex topic, and what I'd love to do is just to sort of get past that baggage. It's really important to understand a little bit about the history and what it is. So I'll just give you sort of a bit of a 101, because I think it'd be really useful for any sort of potential students out there who are interested in this stuff to understand the topic. So since the dawn of humanity, the way the world has worked is that we transact with each other via a trusted middleman. So if I don't trust you, I need something in the middle that we both trust, like a bank or a credit card company or TradeMe or Uber or anything, organisations that we both trust who can transact on our behalf, and that's how things have worked for a long time. And that applies to even government. Government you consider as this sort of trusted entity in the middle. And since computers turned up a few decades ago, these organisations have been built around databases, centralised databases, SQL Server, Oracle, whatever. There's a few problems with that model. One is that these organisations often take a cut. And what happens is often these organisations, well, the people at the top of these organisations get incredibly rich, as we've seen from some of the rich people in Silicon Valley, and we know the wealth gap is getting bigger and bigger globally, so this is becoming more and more of a problem. The second problem is that these organisations are run by humans. Humans are unfortunately corruptible, even governments, hopefully not in New Zealand, but many countries around the world have a lot of corruption going around in government. And the third problem is that these centralised databases are always going to be targets for hackers, so people want to break into them. And bear in mind that the hacks that we hear about is a fraction of what's actually going on out there, so it's a big problem internationally. So a really fascinating thing happened about 7 years ago. This person, we don't know if it's a he or a she or even a group of people, I'll refer to them as he just because it makes it easier, called Satoshi Nakamoto, released a white paper and some source code into the open source world, and then mysteriously disappeared, and that's what grabs all the headlines. Nobody quite knows where he's gone, and there'll be lots of attempts to find him. But essentially what he did is to create a system using very clever cryptography, a lot of very clever maths and existing principles, brought them all together and called it Bitcoin, and essentially created a way for people to transact without a middleman, for me to transfer value to you, essentially money, a currency, for me to you, without the need for a middleman. And he called that Bitcoin. But at the heart of his concept was this idea of a decentralized database. So a fundamental shift in thinking. Instead of having a database sitting on a bunch of servers or server, it's decentralized. And the closest thing that we've had to that prior to Bitcoin was BitTorrent, so decentralized file sharing, and the no central server. Really, you can't shut it down because you just need more nodes in the network and it pops up again. So what he took that sort of concept of decentralization and applied it to a database. So and what that decentralized structure combined with the sort of cryptographic locking, what it means is this database is unhackable, it's immutable, it cannot be changed, it cannot go down, And so if on my smartphone, I've got a Bitcoin wallet. If you had one as well, we could hold up our smartphones and read out each other's QR codes. I could give you a Bitcoin. I wouldn't be giving you anything. I'm not transferring any sort of digital asset from me to you. And a Bitcoin is currently worth $400 US, but I could give you a fraction of a Bitcoin, a few cents. I wouldn't be transferring anything. We're both agreeing to update the database, which is replicated within minutes around the world to every single node on the network, which is currently around 10,000 nodes on the Bitcoin network. So it's a really kind of mind-boggling concept and so fundamental in that it takes away this need for a middleman. But the 7-year experiment has basically worked, and all the controversy and the hacking has gone around in the exchanges. So to get into the Bitcoin network, you kind of need to put real money, dollars and yen. You need to convert it from your fiat currency into Bitcoin, and there have been centralized organizations who've with corrupt people and dodgy practices who've set up today to get in and out of the Bitcoin network. So those have been dodgy and some hugely high profile hacking and failures. But the actual Bitcoin network itself has never been hacked. It's immutable. The only way you can crack it is if you take over at least half the computers on the network. So 10,000 computers you need to take over, and so it's, for all intents and purposes it doesn't work. But yeah, it's been very controversial. But the really interesting thing happened soon after Bitcoin sort of came out. People started to realise you could not only store your transaction on this immutable, trusted database that no one owns or controls, you could also start to store some instructions, some lines of code on that database. And so I'm not sure I mentioned that this database is called the blockchain. So, and that's the concept of a smart contract. So to give you an example, the simplest form of smart contract might be a multi-sig contract, where instead of me just transferring Bitcoin to you, I might create a contract that says I can only transfer Bitcoins from me to you if I get John and Peter to agree. So they have to countersign that transaction. So that's a simple smart contract. I might take that stage further and build in a rule that says I can only transfer that Bitcoin from me to you if John and Peter agree, plus it's between the hours of 7 and 8 at night or whatever. So I can start to put in rules, business logic into that. And if I store that set of rules also on the blockchain, which is immutable, cannot be changed, then we start to get really, things can get really clever. We can start to create really complex sets of rules. If you think about it, a will, a mortgage, a bet, a large part of our economy is just that. It's sets of rules. And if you can store them on this immutable thing, which cannot be changed, then you could start to rewrite a lot of the economy, essentially. And even threaten, disruptive things like TradeMe and Uber, because Uber is simply a set of rules, and with a trusted middleman taking a huge profit out of those, out of running that could be put. And in fact, there is a project to put Uber on the blockchain. So one of the problems with the Bitcoin blockchain is it was never designed to have these rules built in. It can be done. It's kind of messy, and there've been other layers of technologies that people tried to put on. But it was designed to be a currency. It wasn't really designed for that, to do smart contracts. So 2 years ago, a 19-year-old guy called Vitalik Buterin decided it would be a really cool idea to create a new blockchain, rewrite it from the ground up, not as a currency, but as a smart contract development platform. So he had a completely different objective, and that's what he did. He raised 90 million, crowdfunded 90 million, built a team, and spent a couple of years building this thing. It went live end of last year, quite quietly, kind of a beta release, called the Frontier release, and people were kind of excited, but watching it closely, there was nothing like it. So it was a lot of the buzz in the whole blockchain community, but people were waiting. Then in January this year, so literally just 2 months ago, it awakened. The number of nodes on the network went sort of exponential, and the value of Ether. So Ether is kind of a currency that you use to fuel the contracts. The price of Ether it's gone threefold, 300% up in the last month, the last 30 days. And they also transitioned from the Frontier, which is kind of the beta release, into the production release about 3 days ago. So again, quite an exciting time. And yes, so this thing is called Ethereum. I'm not sure I mentioned that. So it's called Ethereum. It's an open source project, and it's now gone live. So, and it's very exciting. It's got its own Turing complete programming language. So it's a bit like JavaScript. It's called Solidity. You can download, it's called the Mist browser. You can download and become a node. You can start mining Ether. Anybody can on your laptop. You can start looking at the examples they've given you. You can start creating smart contracts. And yeah, we believe it's a fundamental shift in how people are going to approach, or give a whole lot of new options around how one might approach software problems, and especially problems which need an immutable sort of data source. So it might be a land registry or a bet. There's so many examples of how you might want to use this technology as opposed to a more centralized system. So that's kind of where we're at. So we're just super excited about this technology and sort of looking to spread the word.
You sound really excited about it. Well, it sounds fascinating. So, is there any room for young developers to move into this kind of technology? Is there a demand for that kind of thing?
Yeah, it's one of these things that's so new, and one of the things that we're doing is just trying to educate people, both potential developers and technologists, but also the entrepreneurs, business people in corporates, the banks, the insurance companies, the people who want to just disrupt those industries. Trying to get in front of them and just explain how it works. This is why it's so different. And so we're actually running an event in May. So it started off quite small. It's now getting quite big. So we're running it in Auckland and Wellington. Auckland part of Tech Week. In Wellington is part of the Collider program and the Biz Dojo. We've just got sponsorship from the Stock Exchange and other key sponsors. We're getting interest from all over the world. So it was just tweeted yesterday from the Ethereum Foundation. We've got one of the co-founders of Ethereum, Taylor Gehring. He's coming over to keynote speak. And yes, it's a part. So we want to sort of use that event to really spread the word. And yeah, and I guess as far as young developers or young or old developers, anybody wanting to learn something new, yeah, it is very new. There's very few people who know this stuff. That's the reality. I'm sort of pulling together various people from around the world who are really interested in stuff and or who've been playing with Ethereum into its early beta. But I personally think it's a really exciting opportunity for a developer, and it's so easy to get into. You can just download the software and start learning it. And for people who do that and get good at it, come to me. I'll give them a job. So that's very exciting.
Yeah, that sounds really brilliant. Is there any room for students to get involved with this event and learn more?
Yes, well, I said to Ruth at Summer of Tech, yes, so we're happy to give away a couple of tickets to each of the Auckland and Wellington events. So I'm sure she'll decide where that goes. And and details of the event are at ethereum.nz. So we've got various details there as they emerge. And we haven't decided on ticket prices and that sort of thing, but it's not going to be big. It's not going to be a high ticket price, we hope. And we're also considering perhaps a hackathon event while some of these keynote speakers are over here. We may try and get a whole bunch of people in a room and start hacking stuff. And if there's any students who've kind of got their head around this stuff and have played this and who want to join that, again, we'll post details on the Ethereum.nz website as they emerge.
So would that website be the first protocol if somebody wants to learn about this technology and try it out?
We're using that site and the Twitter Ethereum to handle Ethereum NZ to sort of publicise what's going on in Australia and New Zealand and this sort of Australasian part of the world. Ethereum.org is the main site for the foundation. So it's run by a thing called the Ethereum Foundation. They're a not-for-profit based in Europe and all around the world now. And so their site, you can just start. They'll show you all the documentation and where to download the browsers and all that sort of stuff. So that's probably the main point of main place to go to first to find stuff. So.
Well, that sounds like an incredible piece of technology and something that we get involved in. And a really great event. And thank you so much for sharing it with us.
No problem. Thank you.